Yoga with Jenny.
Hi guys. So today I'm bringing you the theme of modern day practice of asana. So I am going to talk a little bit about the benefit of us adjusting our practice to modern day life and according to science and the medical expansion and knowledge that we have. I am also going to speak a little bit about how asana was seen in the ancient days and the primary days of yoga. I am also going to talk about how it is important for us to be flexible in our asana practice and adjust the practice to our own needs. And then I am going to give us some about how all of this expansion and adjustments and knowledge is seen as positive and should be seen as positive. Okay. So I do want to just do a quick relationship between asana and yoga. I do have another video about this theme. You can check it out about the relationship between asana and yoga. Asana means sitting down. So the way they used asana in the ancient time is not how we use it today. The modern day asana had a big twist and birth during the 19th centuries. Where the practice got more physical. Before that, it was mainly seated down positions and position that would adjust and would make the body comfortable in a seated position for meditation practice. So before when yoga existed, yoga was only seen as a spiritual practice. Today, we practice yoga not only as a spiritual practice, we do practice yoga many times only for the benefits in our body, also in our mind and our organic body, and sometimes we do expand that to the energy and then towards spirituality, because energy and spirituality do not have to be linked together, nor do you need to be spiritual to practice yoga. So what I do want to state here, it is important for us to be able to have this broad spectrum of yoga, because yoga is the all, and the reason why you practice yoga is always valid. So these videos are never to go against anything. It is to create a broader spectrum always, and never to shut door or to divide. So yoga and asana. So yoga and asana are related for very long. We know that. We know that asana was practiced because we wanted to be able to sit down for long periods. I do want to compare the times of the ancient people and how we live today, or the life of the people thousands of years ago and how we live today. It is very different. So when we lived in previous time, in ancient time, we did not have cars. We did not have food delivery. We did not have jobs that required for us to be seated down for long periods of time. So the way we lived was very different. We needed to get up, get food, agriculture, or even if you didn't have agriculture, you needed to go and hunt. So the movement was a natural presence in the life, in the daily life. Everybody needed to move. Also, we did not have specifically chairs, tables. Maybe some people did, but it probably wasn't very common. So the seated down position in the floor and going down to the floor, coming up, and every kind of movement was more of a need and a necessity for you to survive. Today, we don't see that. Today, you can stay at home for all your life and survive. With Uber, with the cars, you don't even need to have a car basically, because you can get everything at your home now: delivery, food, clothes, everything. So the necessity of movement is not as required, so people do not move as much. So why is this important? So if you see how asana was practiced in the previous day, if you imagine someone would wake up, go and get food and work all day, going from one place to another, it was a lot of movement. So when they searched for a practice that would bring well-being, you would probably search for something that would make your body rest and get you into more states of relaxation and rest the muscles and so on. So the practice for well-being would be different. It doesn't make sense moving all day and then going and do yoga and move. For us, it's the other way around. So we stay seated for the whole day, most of us. And then when we search for well-being practices or awareness practices, the body needs to balance with that movement and with that physical intensity. So it is normal that the practice of well-being, if you see yoga as that, because yoga is much broader, but we can see yoga as a practice of well-being as well. It is natural that you search for something that will create more balance and harmony in the body and movement, and physical intense activity is important. So it's natural that you search for that. So it is, there has been changes, but I think that the change is because of that, because we need to balance, and that balance should be seen as good. It doesn't make sense sit down all day and then go to a yoga practice and stay seated for an hour or do small and simple twists and like laying down. And when you actually need to create that cardiovascular intensity and stimulate the body towards those needs, and also in your muscles and joints, it is important for you to maintain that movement and that work. So that is a good thing. And the practice should be according to that balance and not the other way around. And continuing with that point about balance and adjusting the practice towards that balance and not the other way around, it is important for us to have this perspective that yoga is meant for us to use, to benefit us. So if you are practicing a certain method or system that is not benefiting you in a physical, mental level, then maybe you should reassess if that is the best way of practicing. Because today we have many ways of practicing yoga, and this has mainly to do because it is a worldwide practice today. You can find yoga everywhere, and that will create more of a broad spectrum of how you practice, because we are all different. We have our individual need, we have different genes, so it is important to see that this difference, if you see the whole world practice, it's normal that yoga will also open up and adjust to different cultures, religions, bodies, genes, genetics, and all of this. So it is positive that yoga is able to adapt so well towards everyone. And that is why yoga is practiced by so many people, because it is flexible, and you do not have to be flexible to practice yoga, because yoga will be flexible to you. This is a saying I use a lot, and this can go not only towards the body, also mentally. So yoga is very flexible, and you can adjust the practice of yoga towards your own needs, because it is an inner self development practice to create this connection with the self and not the other way around. So It is very positive. Also, the medical and scientifical knowledge that we now have, that is great. I am a big fan towards science and medicine, and using that knowledge in the practice is very good. Today, we know that certain type of exercises are not as healthy as other. We know that we need stability to the joints, so muscle is important. If you see yoga in the ancient time, or some types of yoga, they do a lot of stretching and extensions and little tension and strength work. We know that now for a fact that that strength work is healthy for the joints. Also, there is this we do live longer today, probably most of us, so the life expectancy has also grown, so we do have longer periods of life, but our joint hasn't really adjusted to that. So the deterioration of the joint that naturally happens with aging will still occur. So we live longer, but our body will be old as they were at 40, 50 before. So it is important for us to adjust the practice and stay tuned into that. So building muscles around the joint and maintaining that stability is very important. So there are works that are more beneficial for that aren't really yoga positions. It's more strength work, but why not add that to your practice if you only practice yoga? Also, I do want to state, just this is the last thing I am going to talk about, because this is not supposed to be something very specific. I am going to do more specific videos about specific needs of the body and how we should adjust the practice, a more practical point of view. This is more of reflection and a thought that I want to share. So all of these advancement and adjustment of the yoga practice and asana practice, I think should be seen as very positive, very positive. Evolution is a part of our nature. We as human beings are evolving. So it is natural that our practices of well-being, awareness, spiritual, and so on will also adjust to that evolution. And we should always look for growth. So anything that brings growth and more knowledge should be is very beautiful. Also, the knowledge of the ancient wisdom of yoga and how they practice is also good. So it is not to state that the way they practiced before is worse or better. This should be according to your own point of view and perspective. We should look into our essence and see what we need to do in our daily life externally to bring us closer to our own essence. And that is what's going to bring you to yoga, to the state of union, is going to your own essence, understanding that your essence is a part of a much larger essence, and that way is inside and never outside. So the ancient knowledge has a lot to give and to direct us, so they should also seen as good. If by chance you are a yoga teacher listening to this, it is important both perspectives. I think that knowing everything that we can, the best that we can, is good for us. So knowing the ancient yoga and bringing a little bit of a modern day perspective with science and knowledge of a more medical point of view will only benefit you as a teacher, and your students will also benefit from it. Okay, I hope you like this video. And if you have anything specific that you want to talk about yoga, you can Put it in the comments, subscribe, share, do whatever you want. And I hope you liked it.